Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, this Tuesday edition. I am Marsh, joined by Rick Blaze. Good morning, Rick. Are we feeling a little less football hungover, if you will, on this Tuesday morning?
Well, it depends. If you was going for the Chiefs, and you probably still have your face in the sand. If you going for the Eagles, you got paid.
Sure did. We got plenty to get to. We're talking all hoops today. A little bit of SWBA, also a big upset in SimWorld U that we'll get to close things out. But let's start with the debut of Luka the Laker last night as the Lakers play the ever formidable Utah Jazz. A massive win for the Lakers on the scoreboard, 132 to 113. A big night from Luka in limited minutes, 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists in just 24 minutes, and the Lakers' new duo is officially locked in. Rick, your immediate reactions from Luka's first night in Los Angeles?
It was against the sorry-ass Jazz, so it's hard to say how great the duo was. But what I did like early on is they staggered the minutes between Luka and LeBron, which I think is very smart to do because they play very similar. They have the same exact style. They're the same players, just one has way less athleticism than the other. And I'm talking about the 40-year-old has more athleticism than the 25-year-old. But they have the same game. So I do like the fact that they staggered to allow Luka to have that opportunity to kind of take over the team, so to speak. It's going to be interesting to see down the stretch when they play more meaningful games. How these two play on the court together as far as who has the ball, how they ISO, what that part remains to be seen. I'm interested to see how that works. They've won 14 of the last 12 of the last 14 games, so they've been on the road. They've creeped on up, so they're hitting a stretch at a very important time for positioning for this playoff run. So we'll see, but it's the Jazz, so we expected them to win. But I guess so far so good. You can only play the guys you play, so far so good. And limited time.
You mentioned the Lakers, 6 straight wins. They're now 2.5 games out of the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Look out now, but here come the Lakers. Last night, and this is going to be true about anything, right? 1 game sample size does not give us a whole lot to build off of. But what it did show last night was this team the Jazz also isn't maybe the best test case for it, but there's going to be plenty of playmaking on the floor at all times. And offensively, this is going to be very difficult for the Los Angeles Lakers to get into bad sets and get into bad situations because you're not going to have to rely on Austin Reeves or Gabe Vincent to lead the offense when LeBron James is not out there. Last night was the first testing ground of that. And there's going to be nights where this team struggles on defense. And defense does, in fact, win championships, and the Lakers will have to figure that out. And there's plenty of continued ongoings, and now the Hornets are disputing the failed physical by the Lakers for the Mark Williams deal. But this is definitely going to be an entertaining show. And they do a lot of good things together. And I think that there was plenty of concern over, Luka and LeBron, they're both kind of, on-ball guys. LeBron is operated so well with a secondary ball handler, right? When it was Kyrie, when it was Dwayne Wade, he's proven time and time again to be able to meet the demand and be off ball. I think it's one of the unappreciated parts of LeBron James' game is that he is actually exceptionally adept at playing off the ball. Last night didn't change the world, but it did give us the first glimpse of this is going to be a very difficult team, and this isn't breaking news to stop offensively. And if Luka can stay healthy, and if Luka can get into the ability to play 36 efficient minutes and make some type of an impact on the defensive end, the Lakers are a very dangerous team in a very competitive top half of the Western Conference where they've just surpassed Houston, who has kind of been tumbling down the standings. They're chasing down Denver. They could chase down Memphis. The Lakers have a real shot at getting home court advantage in the first round and being a very, very struggling defensive matchup for anybody that they face in the first round of the postseason, which is probably the last thing that anybody wants to see as it turns to what we thought was going to be the swan song of the Los Angeles Lakers' immediate relevancy in the SWBA. All right, let's head over to more relevancy, and that is
You
got something.
Exclamation point on that is they're so thin on the front line, though. They're
Yeah, they
really thin
are.
in the front line. Like, oh my gosh, come playoff time, that's gonna really be the Achilles heel. How thin they are on the front line. A fun fact: this is the second time a Charlotte Hornet and Los Angeles Lakers trade had got nixed. Last time was Chris Paul going to the Lakers. So the Lakers and Hornets need to stop trading with each other. Apparently, it doesn't work out.
I'm going to be concerned about the front line for the Lakers. This is one thing I've learned about, particularly top tier basketball teams. I'm going to be concerned about it if this is what it looks like in the postseason. That's when I'm going to start. I'm not going to waste my concerned energy here on February 11th about them not having a defensive center when there's 2 months left of the regular season. Now, are there great options out there? No. Did I like the Mark Williams trade? And who knows how it'll end up? No. But I will be concerned about it when we get to the postseason because if what they're doing right now is what they have in the postseason, then yes. But that's always going to be the case, right? Defensive matchups for them are going to be a struggle. They're going to be creating tons of defensive mismatches on the opposite side. All right, let's head to Minnesota, where a panel has cleared the runway for Lori and Rodriguez, the new ownership group for the Minnesota Timberwolves and Minnesota Lynx. They are now positioned to take over the Minnesota franchises. This is a long, drawn-out process, but they have sided, the arbitration panel sided with Mark Lori and Alex Rodriguez. Good or bad for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I don't see how it's bad. Minnesota's been irrelevant for quite some time. I forgot they had a baseball team in Minnesota. You see what happened when Magic Johnson got the Commanders. And he's been successful. Now, I'm not saying A-Rod is Magic Johnson. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying sometimes putting some new blood in there, some guys who knows how to win, who's been professional players, can help jolt the team in a positive light, especially since A-Rod was a former baseball player, a hell of a baseball player at that. I don't think it's a bad move for Minnesota. I mean, the Minnesota Twins, like, bro, they haven't been relevant.
Time out, Rick. Timberwolves. We're talking Timberwolves here. The Twins are.
Why I saw baseball. Oh, I'm sorry, Timberwolves. I'm seeing A-Rod. I'm thinking about the baseball team, the Timberwolves.
Right, clear you up.
Let's roll. I'm cool with that too.
Maybe I said the Twins, but Timberwolves. We're talking Timberwolves.
Did you throw me out by saying the Twins?
I don't think so, but maybe I did. We'll watch the tape back. We'll do an instant replay. But good or bad for the Timberwolves?
I jalapaz. The Timberwolves. Go ahead. Why not? It's the Timberwolves. Sure, we've seen professional athletes or former professional athletes come into the league and with ownership. Again, Magic Johnson is a great example and have been successful. It's not like the Timberwolves have been in the championship games anytime in the past decade or so. So sometimes a change of scenery and new ownership may give some new life. And why not? Go for it.
Here's where I'm concerned about. One of the big things that came out or kind of was leaked around, and it makes a lot of sense with the deals that came in the aftermath, was that the Timberwolves wanted to get out of the luxury tax. And that was one of the ideas that Mark Lori and Alex Rodriguez had presented, not necessarily publicly, but had been kind of floated around when they were starting to dive deeper with a look under the hood with this basketball team. If that's the case, I have serious trepidations about this team being competitive. Now you sunk cost fallacied the heck out of the Rudy Gobert deal to trade away Karl Anthony Towns, and we're seeing how well that's worked out for you as the Timberwolves are now sitting at 30-24 and tied for the number 6/7 seed with the Los Angeles Clippers. If you're going to walk in and you're going to get scared of the luxury tax after potentially paying, what's the amount, $1.5 billion, you've got some very serious challenges ahead of you, right? You've got to be comfortable paying a high price tag, especially with a guy like Anthony Edwards. You need to be able to put a team around him that's going to cost money. And if the Minnesota Timberwolves are in fact going to fall, and one, they have to get through the ownership group vote, so it'll be interesting to see who sides with Glenn Taylor and who doesn't. I don't know, obviously. But that was the biggest thing when this initial reporting came out, a year ago. If you can't go into the luxury tax, it's very difficult to win in the modern day SWBA. And if that's something that they're serious about, I think Minnesota could be sitting around where they are right now, which is a team that might not be uber expensive, but isn't also a team that's uber competitive.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's politics, right? You try to get the team You're trying to get in the ownership group. You're going to say and you're going to promise to do things that you may or may not actually do. We see it all the time. I don't know how much of that is. I say all that to say I don't know how much of that is legit until they show me if it's legit or not. Now, again, they have to go. They have to still go through some processes before it's finalized. But I would assume you pay over $1 billion for a franchise. You understand what it takes to win in that arena, in the realm of that sporting event, right? So I would assume you know how this works, and going into the luxury tax is just on par with the games, how it works if you're going to be competitive. I don't think you go into an adventure this big and not be fully aware of what you're getting into. I don't think. So I think they
Let's hope
maybe just be shaking hands and kissing babies right now.
let's hope they're not tightening up the purse strings while they just emptied out the pocketbooks. All right, let's head
That was
to.
cute.
Thank you. I'm pretty good at that every now and again. We got about 30 games left in the SWBA season, and plenty of teams have made some pretty large statements. So as we look to the final 30 games, Rick, who, in your opinion, has the most at stake?
This is a no-brainer. It's the Golden State Loose Girls. It's this. It's the beggars, the Golden State beggars. The ones who wanted everybody to go to the dance with them. They've been waiting out. The Golden State Warriors used to be a penthouse type of people. Now they're Section 8. These are the Section 8 Warriors now.
Ooh.
They are no longer penthouse. They 10th place right now in the West. You went all in looking for your man. You found your man, your boo, in Butler. So now you're married to your boo, and you hoping he can get you out of Section 8. You put it all on the line for your boo to get out of Section 8. They have the most pressure based on who they're taking in, how everything's shaked down, and what they're trying to do. They're trying to go back to the penthouse. They're looking for Jimmy Butler to take them out of Section 8. We're going to see. They have the most pressure.
I would not consider them to be Section 8, though they're certainly a far cry from where they were at the peak of their dynasty.
But where are they then? They're not middle class right now.
They are middle class. They're 27. They're the definition of middle class. They're a game over 500. They are half a game out from 8th spot in a Western Conference that is 15
They're getting government
teams.
assistance. They're getting government assistance right now.
No, New Orleans and Utah are getting government assistance. They got 12 wins.
They're third world countries. New Orleans and Utah are third world countries.
I think you might consider like Ireland a third world country at that rate, Rick, because they're literally a half game for being smack dab in the middle of the Western Conference. I don't know how much more of a definition of middle class.
So Wild West.
They got plenty to serve, but I think it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a team that's been playing obviously great basketball, 43-9. It's the best record in the SWBA, half a game better than the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you made no moves. You made no major shakeups at the trade deadline. Your most notable move is bringing back Chet Holmgren from injury. And your big move this offseason was Isaiah Hartenstein to add some oomph to your front court, which they did not have last season. This is a big season for them because not only is that contract going to get, or the roster going to get more and more expensive. You just signed Caruso to a long-term deal. You got to figure out, do we have a number two? Is Jalen Williams our number two? Is Chet Holmgren a potential number two? Is SGA a number one that can carry in the playoffs? My answer would be yes. But you need some options there. And this is a team that's riding the good vibes, right? Last season was a nice deep run into the conference semifinals. They ended up getting bounced by Dallas, who ends up obviously going to the SWBA finals. Now's the rubber hit the road season, right? You've had the feel good season of the play-in. You had the maybe there's something season a year ago. Now's are you guys legitimate title contenders, or are you just merely a team that dominates in the regular season, a la the Toronto Raptors in the 2010s? And we're going to find out about them. And it's going to be the West is wide open, and Oklahoma City has a shot at it. But to me, they have the most at stake to prove, no, we are a title contender. We are a team that you should feel concerned about. We did this with the Golden State Warriors before they were relevant. We did this before the Denver Nuggets won their first championship and their only championship. We always question the team that hasn't done it yet, and that's perfectly fine. It's an understandable thing. It's time to answer the question if you're Oklahoma City, Rick.
I like what they've done, which is, hey, we have a good team. We've been winning. We don't need to shake something up just to say we shook something up. Chet Holmgren coming back is a really big deal for them. They have all the pieces, they have all the ingredients to make something happen. Again, I believe that there is some level of pressure on them, and maybe not though. I mean, there's pressure on them as far as this group getting it done because you can't afford everybody. So somebody's going to have to be stuck out in the cold. At some point in time, the bubble is going to burst. So they have a short window for this group of individuals to get it done. But overall, they got a 5-6 year run in them because they superstars are so young.
Well, we see how quickly those windows of runs stay open and shut. They're playing with house money, but the pile of chips that the house has given them is quickly running out before they have to start.
But they are in the condo. They're in the condo though.
They're well up there. Who's not well up there are the Iowa Hawkeyes, who suffered a 71-67 defeat last night. The number 9 team in the country. Yet again, we have another week in a row in which a top 10 team goes down. This one at home, and this one in a game in which Lamarian Sherwood was held very quiet in the first half. He does end up with 24 points. They got no support, though, elsewhere. Stacey Van Arsdale, second on the team with 11 points on 5 of 17 shooting. No one with serious volume made over 37% of their shots. Concern level here for Iowa, Rick, or just a one-game loss and these types of things happen?
No, I think in this case, I think this is where you're starting to see who's who and what's what. I've been saying this all year long about Iowa. Sherwood is a beast. But besides him, there's no one there that for sure that you know that you can consistently count on to be that number 2, that number 3 option. They got guys like who steps in here and there, and they have games that are good. But there's no one I can pencil in every single night for Iowa that's going to be that number 2 guy, regardless of how Sherwood plays. And I think once you get into this conference play and get a hoopsteria, those things get undressed. Those things get undressed. So make sure when you leave the house, you have one clean draws because those things get undressed. And last night, Iowa's deficiencies got undressed. They don't have a bona fide number 2, number 3 option, and that's going to hurt you whenever Sherwood is not being all world, which he may not be every single game.
Yeah, this is the exception to the rule, right? I don't like to, we talked about it earlier with the Lakers. I don't like to read too much into one loss, but wins and losses in one game can reveal some things. And this has always been the challenge with the Iowa Hawkeyes is what do you get next to Sherwood? Because Sherwood has been the most immune to bad night star that we've had in SimWorld U. I mean, every single night, he's going 12 of 14, 14 of 16, 16 of 18, 10 of 12, whatever it is. He is always a hyper-efficient volume scorer in the paint. That's not going away. And you are going to win a lot of games. And you can look here and take glass half full. Well, we got a bad night from Stacey Van Arsdale, and we still only lost by 4 points. We figure that out, and we get rolling. The problem is, can you figure that out? Can you trust this team against high-level competition? And Penn State is not necessarily high-level competition.
Not at all. Don't say necessarily it's not.
But you've got to find some way to get more consistent play out of the back end of this roster, and not even the back end, but the second piece of this roster, which has been Stacey Van Arsdale. That's who this team is going to win a die championship on, right? We're going to talk about Lamarian Sherwood. We're going to look at Lamarian Sherwood. If this team wants to win a championship, Stacey Van Arsdale is the one that's going to get them there. I don't know why that is a hot take of saying if somebody wants to do something, Rick.
Well, you're saying that as if they're in the running to win a championship this season.
They're a top 12 team in the country. They're in the
Iowa has
hunt
a legit chance to win a championship this season.
Sure, if they can figure out the number 2. Everyone has a chance. It's Hoopsteria. Nobody knows what's going to happen in Hoopsteria.
We know what's not going to happen. Iowa ain't winning the championship this season.
I'm not picking them to win the championship, Rick. I'm saying if they want to win a championship, everybody there is going to want to win a championship. The pathway for Iowa to do it is not Lamarian Sherwood going off because he does it every night. It's does Stacey Van Arsdale and the rest of this roster play up to the level that Lamarian Sherwood does and not have a type of night that they did last night where Stacey Van Arsdale was 5 of 17.
So are you saying they win a championship or not?
No, I'm not picking them to win a championship.
What are their odds to you of winning the championship?
They're going to end up probably as a 3 or 4 seed. And that type of team has pathways to get there, but they need things to break with a better basketball team like a Duke, a Georgia Tech, a Villanova, a Texas, a Kentucky. If they're inevitably going to be put in the region with them, they need one of them to go out before they do, and
According
somebody
to
else has to
Marsh, they
pull an
have
upset.
a percentage chance of winning a championship.
Yeah,
Is what?
of course, the percentage chance. I don't freaking know. I don't know,
I
eight
thought you had
percent.
answers.
I'm not. I didn't sit here saying I'm a mathematician, Rick. I'm just saying this is a team that has championship aspirations, just like every other team in the country does. Theirs are happen to be more legit because they are currently the number 9 ranked team. They'll probably end up as a top 15 team. They're still 14 and 4 or 13 and 4. It's a good basketball team. I
It
mean,
is
I'm
a
not
good
gonna
basketball
again.
team.
Sky isn't falling here for the Iowa Hawkeyes. There's a pathway for them to win a national championship. It's on the back of Lamarian Sherwood and somebody else stepping up.
I don't know if there's a pathway to win a national championship. They're a really
I
good
don't
team
know. I don't know why this always happens, and we're running out of time. But people
because they
just
have
thinks that it's an all or
your
nothing. It's a black
holes.
or white.
The holes in the program can't be that large if you want to win it. Look at the top 3 teams that you would
I'm
say,
not.
hey,
I'm not advocating for them as a top 3 team. I'm just saying this whole argument that a team just because they're not a top 3 team they can't win a championship. I think
no, I'm not saying because they're
is
not top 3. I'm just saying this specific team doesn't have
they
the
have.
makeup to win a championship, in
I
my
think they
opinion.
could win a championship. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not putting my fork in the earth of the Iowa Hawkeyes are your national champions. I'm saying they have a team that has capability
0.999%
to.
is what I give them.
I think it's higher than 1%. So I'll tell you that much. But
Well, you said you
anyhow,
didn't know the percentages.
I didn't. Yeah, but it's not 0 and it's not 1. That's all I'm saying. We've got no more time, is what we've got. So we're going to step aside. We'll be back tomorrow morning. But there's going to be more hoops returning to action tonight here on a Tuesday night. CBS has a doubleheader, and that includes the game of the week: Villanova and Butler. Justin Bell and
What are
Sean
their
Chapman
percentages,
Daly.
Marsh?
6:30 p.m. Villanova, I don't know, 32. Butler, 12. As the Bulldogs and the Wildcats go at it in a Big East showdown. And then at 8 p.m. it's Florida State and Duke. Florida State struggling, Duke not at all. 8 p.m. both of those on CBS. All right, we're coming back tomorrow. We'll recap the game of the week and anything else that happens in the wild world of sports. I am Marsh. That is Rick. Appreciate you all tuning in here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.
Have a good day, Iowa.